Okay, so we're going to go ahead and put the cam in. It's a comp cam. It's nothing super crazy or anything, but it should be a good cam for this 360. So we've got everything we need to degree it and double check that everything is accurate. And the good part is about most of these comp timing sets is you can actually degree them. So you can advance or retard it. It's usually 5 degrees, I think. So we've got that. And we'll get the cam out of the package and ready to go. Yeah, okay, with our cam liberally coated here, we're going to gently feed it in to and through our bearings. Going to be gentle so you don't mar the bearings. And once you start getting near the back here, you can kind of guide it a little better. That's why you put a hand hold here. Okay, that's your cam in. So with your cam in, right, it should go all the way back, and you'll see that it tucks into that back bearing. You'll see that we coated our oil pump drive as well. Next thing we're going to do is put in our lifters. Okay, so our cam thrust plate gets torqued to 210 inch-pounds. And we'll just double check. So at this point, cam's in, lifters are in, thrust plate's on, the dripper here for the timing chain is on, the lifter retainers are on, and the bracket little spider that holds them down is on and torqued. I didn't realize it, but the camshaft did not come with a woodruff key. So that means we're going to have to source a woodruff key before we can continue. So in the meantime, I've been preparing all the bolts so they're all ready to go back on. And we'll be able to flip the engine over, we can put the oil pump on, and the windage tray and the oil pickup and that stuff can go on now anyway. Okay, so putting the oil pump on. With the gasket already placed on there, I take my oil pump, which I put a bit of high-tack gasket adhesive on, and I've lubricated the drive. We'll take it and we'll slip it into position, which it should go in there pretty easy. Okay, take our 2 bolts. They get torqued to 30 foot-pounds. What you're going to do is you're going to put a bit of oil on their threads. Because in the Chrysler manual, it says that all critical fasteners must have the threads lubricated with oil prior to being torqued. So we oil them up, put them in place, and then we'll torque them to 30 foot-pounds. And then from there, we're going to take the top cover off, and we're going to pack the oil pump with assembly lube so that when we do start getting this engine ready to go, it will build oil pressure very quickly. And we won't dry start it. take that top cover off now. Okay, with the top cover removed from the oil pump, what we're going to do is we're going to get in here. We're just going to slip everything apart for a second. And we're going to lubricate everything inside of it with a bit of assembly lube. You don't have to go nuts, but you also are going to want to make sure that everything's lubricated. Okay, I'll just take a little bit more here. Okay, put our cover back on. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is put on our windage tray. This is a factory windage tray. So we're going to go ahead and it just slides in here on top of our main caps like this. And then we have the bolts. We've already cleaned and lubricated a little bit here. And they just go in here like this. And we'll just get them started. And then we'll tighten them up and we'll torque them. Once we have this on, we can go ahead and put our oil pump pickup in. Okay, now we've got our time to go ahead and put in our pickup. Now, I'm using all melting parts, mostly because they're made in the US. But we now get the fun part of trying to get this sucker in here. Okay, that was my screw up. I'm used to doing big blocks. That's what I've done the last couple of. On a small block, you got to put the pickup tube in here before you put the oil pump on. I'm used to a big block where you put the pickup tube in and then you put the oil pump on. But anyway, so if for whatever reason you do the same thing I just did, you end up having to pull the oil pump back off, put your pickup tube in, and then put it on and torque everything up again. So that pretty much concludes everything in the bottom half of the engine. The only thing left to do is put the oil pan on, but we can't really do that until we have the timing cover and everything on. I mean, you can, but it's easier if you don't. So we'll go back up top here and do some other little stuff. Okay, with it flipped over here, it's hard to tell, but I did lube up the cam lobes and everything. But we're getting there. It's starting to look like an engine. We have more parts on it than we do on the workbench. That's a good start. Alrighty, welcome back. So today we're here in the junkyard. And we're here with a 91 Dodge pickup with a 318 roller engine in it. And what we're doing is we're going to pull all this crap out of our way because we need the cam key out of it, because what I've learned is these late LA engines, the cam key is specific to them. Like an idiot, I threw out the original one with the cam. So anyway, here we go. Okay, so after a lot of disassembly here, we got what we needed. What a pain in the behind. Okay, so we are back working on the 360. I installed the timing set and everything. I thought I filmed it, I guess I didn't. But when I checked it with the degree wheel, I found that our center line was, in fact, it matched the specs that came with the camshaft almost identically. Being that this isn't a super high performance engine, we're just going to match it up so it's at 0 degree, and then we can always play with it later with a bit of timing if we need. So our next thing is we're going to get the timing cover ready and put it on. Okay, so we're going to install the seal. I've already cleaned and just threw a coat of primer on the timing cover. Some guys will silicone around them. I don't. That's actually what your paint here is for, believe it or not. The paint constitutes a sealing surface. So we'll take our very special tool here. And should be it pretty much in. Okay. So what I usually do is I flip it over and I see there's a little lip in here, and that's where the seal sits down on. So we can see it's flush against the seal, or against the lip, sorry, and that means we're good to go. Okay, so the way I do it is I just put a skim coat, and I mean a skim coat, of silicone across the surface prior to putting the gasket on, because this is cast aluminum, and the odds are by the point you're rebuilding an engine, it's probably pretty pitted and not the best sealing surface in the world. Okay, so I'll take our new gasket and just kind of lay it on. And you'll see, that's one of the reasons I put the silicone there, is because you always get the one hole that doesn't line up with these Felpro gaskets. But such is life. Fortunately, there's not a lot of options for gaskets. Okay, and now we're going to put just a skim of silicone again, this time on the block. Okay, so now we'll put the timing cover on. And I've taken and put a bit of grease in the seal, so we don't have to worry about tearing it. Just going to take and put these two bolts in for now just to hold it. Okay, I wanted to show this before I got too far. So these four will be coming back out. That's why I don't care that they're crusty and gross. This one goes through, and it goes through into a water jacket. So what we've done is we've taken and put thread sealer on that bolt. So what we can do now is torque all these bolts and let that dry. Step is to install our balancer. Now this is a brand new Mopar balancer. I actually bought this for an engine I was going to build for myself, and the engine I had ended up being a terrible engine. It wasn't even a good core. So it was sitting here, and guess what? We're doing this engine, we might as well put it on it. Okay, so we'll take our new balancer and we'll line up the woodruff, and we will take and just kind of push it on a little bit. And then what we have is an installation tool that goes on next. Okay, so with our installation tool, we'll take and we will hold it here, like it's supposed to be. And we'll take our wrench, just start pushing our new balancer on. And you will feel it bottom out. So right there, we're bottomed. And now we can start removing our tool. Okay, we'll take the other half out. And we will take our crank bolt. Okay, so we'll install our balancer bolt. This gets torqued to 100 foot-pounds, and Chrysler wants it lightly oiled. Okay, and we'll get our torque wrench. Okay, so what I've done is I've rotated the engine until I could get pry bar through the crankshaft. And I've got my 1¼ inch socket here, and my torque wrench is set to 100 foot-pounds. And we'll just double check. Okay. So I just wanted to show you how I hold the crank. So you'll see there's a notch in the back of the crank here. So I put a pry bar through it into the block, and that holds it so that we can go ahead and torque it. Okay, on the rear portion of the motor, this is your rear seal for the oil pan. You'll see it goes down in here, and you'll see hopefully there's a little recess there that little tab goes down in. So that's going to go down in there. Okay, this is our front seal for the oil pan, and you'll see it gets pulled through. So on the right side of the pan, it's got a big nipple, and on the left side, it's got a little one. So that's how you know you've got it the right way. So next thing we're going to do is we're going to put a bead of silicone across the pan rail on both sides, and then we're going to do the same thing on our block. Okay, with everything set up and ready to go, we can take and drop our oil pan in position now. Okay, we'll put our bolts in now. Okay, so the only thing left to do is we got to go around and torque these to 15 foot-pounds. The one trick is I always trim off those little nipples because it makes it easier to get your socket on there. So I'll go around, we'll torque these up, and then we're ready to prime the bottom half of the engine.